How is it that Amish families can grow enough food to feed an entire household year-round using no chemicals, no machines, and often just a single acre of land? While most modern gardens depend on store-bought fertilizers, expensive tools, and constant maintenance, Amish gardens thrive on knowledge passed down through generations. They've turned simple soil into a self-sustaining ecosystem, one that quietly outperforms the efficiency of industrial farms. Their secret isn't some miracle seed or hidden chemical shortcut, but old-world methods refined by time. Compost piles that work like natural factories, planting rhythms guided by the moon, and hand tools wielded with precision that modern machines rarely match. Today on Stellar Eureka, we're showcasing the timeless practices that make Amish gardens so abundant and how you can weave their wisdom into your own backyard. The Amish don't plant at random. Their gardens follow a rhythm as deliberate as a clock. Every plot runs on a 4-year cycle designed to keep the soil alive and productive for decades. Year 1 begins with corn, a hungry crop that draws nitrogen from the earth. Year 2 replaces it with beans, which feed nitrogen back into the soil like a natural recharge. In Year 3, squash takes over. Its broad leaves shade out weeds while its deep roots loosen compacted ground. And Year 4, the garden rests under cover crops like clover or ryegrass, which rebuild fertility, prevent erosion, and prepare the land for another rotation. This system does more than maintain balance. It prevents disease, strengthens soil structure, and allows gardens to stay fertile for half a century without synthetic fertilizers. Each crop plays a role, working in harmony like instruments in a living orchestra. Where others chase instant yields, the Amish think in decades. Their goal isn't just growth, but regeneration, treating soil as a living partner that rewards patience and respect. And the best part? You don't need acres of farmland to use it. Even in a small backyard or raised bed, you can divide your space into 4 simple sections, one for each phase of the cycle. Over time, you'll see fewer pests, healthier plants, and richer soil that practically feeds itself. To the Amish, the cycle never ends with the soil. What it nourishes gives back again in the form of seeds that carry the land's memory forward. While most people rush to buy glossy packets of new seeds every spring, Amish families open their pantries and reach for something far more valuable: their own. To them, a seed isn't a product, it's a story. Each one is a living heirloom, passed down through generations, carrying the memory of the land, the season, and the hands that planted it before. Many of their seed lines have been grown for 8 to 10 generations, slowly adapting to the soil, weather, and pests of their region. Over time, these heirloom seeds have become perfectly tuned to thrive where they're planted. No chemicals, no genetic modification, just resilience shaped by experience. And the results speak for themselves. These seeds often outperform commercial hybrids because they've been selected by real-world survival, not laboratory conditions. Their flavors are richer, their colors deeper, and their genetics stable, which means the next generation grows true to the parent. For the Amish, reliability means freedom, a garden that feeds itself, and a family that depends only on its own hands. A family that saves its seeds is a family that never has to depend on the market to eat. If you want to apply this practice at home, start simple. Choose open-pollinated plants, heirloom tomatoes, beans, or peppers, and save seeds from your healthiest specimens. Let them dry completely before storing them in a cool, dark place in labeled envelopes or jars. You'll be surprised how quickly your garden begins to adapt to your local climate, producing stronger, more predictable harvest year after year. And if you'd like to start your own heirloom collection, check out our previous video on 20 heirloom vegetables that still outperform modern varieties. It's the perfect place to discover classic, time-tested plants that will give your seed-saving journey the strongest start possible. Because in the Amish garden, growing doesn't stop at the seed. It continues through the seasons. Once you've chosen what to plant, the next step is knowing when to plant, guided not by calendars or apps, but by the rhythm of the moon. For generations, Amish gardens have planted not by calendar, but by moonlight. To outsiders, it might sound like folklore, but modern science says otherwise, especially for certain plants. Think of the moon as Earth's silent gardener. Its gravitational pull lifts and lowers billions of tons of water in the tides every day, and that same invisible force influences the moisture hidden beneath the soil. In some phases, groundwater rises closer to the surface. At others, it slips back into the depths. When the new moon draws moisture downward, it gathers around roots, the perfect time for crops that grow below the soil, like carrots, beets, and potatoes. As the moon waxes and its pull shifts upward, that hidden moisture rises too, favoring leafy crops like lettuce, kale, and spinach, which studies show can germinate up to 25% faster. Even harvests follow this rhythm. Root vegetables pulled during the waning moon store longer because sap flow slows and internal moisture drops, reducing the risk of rot. Leafy greens cut under a full moon stay crisp and hydrated, their cells holding more water under brighter nights that extend photosynthesis. Amish families observed these patterns centuries before science could explain them, and the results are hard to argue with: consistent germination, longer shelf life, and healthier soil. You can try it too. Start by dividing your crops into two groups: root crops for the new moon and leafy crops for the waxing phase. Keep a simple planting journal for one season, noting dates, moon phases, and results. You'll quickly see which rhythm your garden responds to best. Timing your planting by the moon is just one part of the equation. Once those seedlings take root, the next secret to Amish success comes from how they water, a method that saves time, moisture, and entire harvests. In Amish gardening, water isn't just a resource, it's a rhythm. Every drop is guided by intention, not automation. While modern gardens rely on sprinklers and timers, the Amish have mastered a quieter science, using water where it counts and never more than needed. Think of roots as explorers. When the water only wets the surface, roots stay shallow, clinging to the top few inches of soil. But when you soak deeply and infrequently, the water seeps downward, drawing roots with it. The result is stronger plants that can withstand heat, drought, and time. The same reason old trees survive dry summers while lawns turn brown. Rather than misting from above, Amish gardeners let gravity do the work. Simple, elevated hoses or barrels create a gentle flow that delivers moisture directly to the soil, saving up to 60% more water than traditional sprinklers. This low-pressure approach avoids waste, evaporation, and runoff, ensuring every gallon goes where life begins, the roots. Wet leaves invite trouble. Droplets that linger on foliage trap heat and breed fungi, much like laundry left in the rain. Ground-level watering keeps plants dry and healthy, cutting disease rates by nearly 75%. Timing, too, is part of their secret. Amish farmers rise early for a reason. Watering between 6 and 8 a.m. gives plants time to drink before the sun steals the moisture away. Morning watering also lets any stray droplets evaporate quickly, protecting leaves from mold or rot. You can bring these same techniques to your own garden. Ditch the overhead spray and use a simple soaker hose or watering can at soil level. Water deeply twice a week rather than daily, and if you can, collect rainwater in barrels. It's chlorine-free, naturally enriched with nitrogen, and perfectly balanced for plant health. Because in the Amish garden, water isn't just about growth, it's about respect. Every drop returned to the soil nourishes the next harvest. And where water ends, the real magic begins, in the compost that feeds the earth itself. In Amish gardens, compost isn't waste, it's transformation. What others throw away becomes the foundation of the next harvest. To most people, composting means tossing scraps into a pile and waiting. But the Amish treat it like an art form guided by science. Their goal isn't slow decay, it's controlled alchemy, turning raw matter into rich, fertile black gold in just 3 to 4 months. The secret lies in balance. Every compost pile follows a 30-to-1 ratio of carbon to nitrogen, browns to greens. Dried leaves, straw, and paper provide the carbon fuel, while grass clippings, manure, and kitchen scraps supply the nitrogen spark. Too much green and the pile burns too hot and stinks. Too much brown and it cools and stalls. But when that balance is just right, the compost heats up to 140 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to destroy weed seeds, pests, and pathogens while feeding an army of beneficial microbes. Each week, Amish gardeners turn their piles with care, adding oxygen that keeps microbes alive and active. Without air, compost suffocates, turning slimy and foul. With it, it breathes, breaking down evenly into a dark, earthy material that smells like the forest floor after a rain. The same principles work anywhere. Whether you're tending a backyard bin or a few square feet of garden soil, keeping the right mix of browns and greens and remembering to give it air can turn ordinary waste into something remarkable. Within a season, you'll hold in your hands the same living compost that fuels entire Amish farms. In the Amish way, composting is more than recycling. It's a partnership between people and nature. Each scrap, each leaf, each stalk becomes part of something larger, a cycle that never truly ends. And when neighbors compost together, sharing scraps and piles, that partnership grows into something even stronger. If there's one word that defines Amish gardening, it's together. Every season begins not with a single pair of hands, but with dozens, neighbors and families working side by side from dawn to dusk. In these communities, planting isn't a chore, it's a shared rhythm. One family might till the soil while another transplants seedlings. Children move between rows pulling weeds, laughing, and learning the patience that comes with caring for something living. When harvest time comes, it's a full-scale event. Baskets filling, wagons creaking, everyone moving in rhythm to bring the season's effort home. Later, families gather for long evenings of preservation, canning hundreds of jars to fill winter shelves. This collective approach does more than save time, it creates precision. More eyes catch pests early, more hands ensure weeds never take over, and harvests happen at the exact moment crops reach their peak. The food that fills their shelves is more than sustenance, it's security. Pooling resources also makes everything more accessible. Tools, seeds, and even draft animals are shared among neighbors, cutting costs dramatically while increasing efficiency. In essence, every Amish garden is part of a larger network, one built on trust, skill, and shared stewardship of the land. You don't need a whole community to follow that spirit. Even joining a local co-op or swapping seeds with a neighbor can bring the same sense of purpose, reminding us that abundance grows faster when it's shared. Because in Amish life, soil connects not just plants, but people, and that connection runs deep, right down to how they care for the ground itself. Beneath every Amish garden lies its quietest worker, the soil itself. To them, it isn't dirt, it's a living system, a community of its own, full of organisms that breathe, feed, and build the foundation for every harvest. While most modern gardeners see soil as something to fix, the Amish see it as something to nurture. Their philosophy is simple. Fertility should grow stronger with time, not fade away. It starts with understanding. Each year, they test their soil to measure what it truly needs, avoiding the guesswork and waste of unnecessary fertilizers. In autumn, they plant cover crops like rye or clover that capture leftover nitrogen and add fresh nutrients back into the ground. When these plants are tilled come spring, they loosen the soil and enrich it with organic matter. Heavy tilling, which destroys fragile root channels and microbial life, is replaced with no-till methods that protect earthworms and beneficial fungi. Over time, these practices increase organic matter by 2 to 3% each year. That might sound small, but it's transformative. Every 1% boost allows the soil to hold an extra 20,000 gallons of water per acre. Rich soil holds more than water, it holds memory. Each season adds another layer of resilience until the land itself becomes self-sustaining, needing less intervention, yet producing more with each passing year. In the Amish world, soil isn't simply where life begins, it's where balance is maintained. That harmony keeps more than roots alive, it keeps ecosystems stable, harvests dependable, and the pests that follow imbalance at bay. Healthy soil grows healthy plants, and healthy plants rarely need rescuing. That's the quiet secret of Amish pest control, prevention through strength. Their gardens aren't battlefields, they're ecosystems in balance. Rather than spraying chemicals, Amish gardeners design their plots to confuse, distract, and invite. Marigolds send out invisible warnings through their roots, releasing compounds that drive off nematodes and aphids. Basil, when planted near tomatoes, fills the air with aromatic oils that mask the scent of its neighbor, keeping hornworms guessing. Even the humblest nasturtiums have a role, acting as trap crops that lure pests away from tender cabbages and beans. Then there are the allies, flowers like alyssum and dill, grown not for beauty but for strategy. Their nectar feeds ladybugs, lacewings, and hoverflies, keeping these tiny predators around even when pests are scarce. When aphids return, they don't stand a chance. Physical barriers also play their part. Simple fabric row covers shield young seedlings from beetles and moths, much like mosquito nets over a sleeping child. It's an old idea, but one that prevents damage long before chemicals ever would. All of these methods succeed for the same reason. They don't fight nature, they work with it. Instead of waging war on insects, the Amish build systems that make balance inevitable. In their gardens, every scent, odor, and flower has a purpose, working together like notes in a well-tuned melody. And just as they guard their crops from pests, they also protect them from something far greater, the seasons themselves. While most gardeners surrender their fields to frost, the Amish refuse to let the seasons decide when growth ends. They've learned how to stretch time itself, coaxing warmth from cold earth and keeping food growing long after the first chill of autumn. What makes it work isn't electricity or modern tools, it's pure ingenuity. The most visible tool is the cold frame, a simple wooden box with a glass or plastic lid that traps daytime heat and holds it through the night. Inside, young greens continue to grow while frost glitters harmlessly above. This modest design can add 6 to 8 weeks of harvest, proof that sophistication isn't always progress. Timing is just as vital. Through succession planting, Amish gardeners stagger their crops, a row of lettuce today, another 2 weeks later, and another after that. This rhythm ensures a steady rolling harvest instead of one overwhelming glut. It's gardening not as a single act, but as a continuous conversation with the land. And when the air finally turns sharp, they turn inward. Root cellars carved beneath barns and homes keep potatoes, apples, carrots, and cabbages crisp through the depths of winter. Below ground, the temperature remains steady, and humidity preserves what the earth first gave. Even in January, these cool, dim spaces feel alive. Shelves lined with glass jars and crates of produce that smell faintly of soil and sweet storage air. The same principle guides their seed starts. Indoors, on windowsills and benches, life begins early. By the time spring thaw arrives, the seedlings are strong, established, and ready to take root outdoors, giving the growing season a head start without a single watt of artificial light. For the Amish, it's never just about growing more, it's about staying connected to the land all year long. Where most gardens rest, Amish soil still breathes, and when others see the end of a season, they see only another beginning. You've probably heard the old saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. No one takes that more literally than the Amish. For them, horses aren't just transportation or field helpers, they're part of a closed-loop system that feeds the land itself. A single horse produces 35 to 50 pounds of manure per day, adding up to more than 18 tons each year. And to an Amish farmer, every pound of that is potential, rich, living fertilizer that builds the soil from the ground up. Fresh horse manure acts like a sponge of nutrients. It's packed with nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, the same elements in commercial fertilizer, but balanced with organic matter that improves structure and water retention. Unlike synthetic fertilizers that flood plants with nutrients only to leave the soil barren, manure feeds both plants and the microscopic life beneath them. It fuels earthworms, beneficial bacteria, and fungi that naturally protect roots from disease. That's how Amish gardens remain fertile for generations without ever relying on chemicals. Manure doesn't just grow plants, it cultivates ecosystems. If you want to use this at home, the process is simple but crucial. Never apply fresh manure directly to crops. Let it compost for at least 3 to 6 months. This aging process reduces pathogens, balances nutrient levels, and creates a dark, crumbly compost often called black gold. Once ready, mix it into your beds in early spring or fall, and you'll have a soil amendment that slowly releases nutrients all season long. So while many gardeners spend hundreds on store-bought fertilizer, Amish families rely on what nature already provides. Proof that good soil doesn't come from a bag, but from understanding the cycle of life itself. In the end, the Amish garden isn't a miracle, it's a mindset. Each seed planted, each drop of water, each turn of the soil is guided by patience and purpose. What looks simple on the surface is, in truth, a masterpiece of balance, where nothing is wasted and everything works in harmony. Their abundance doesn't come from chemicals or machinery, but from centuries of observation. Which of these practices inspired you the most? And which will you try first in your own garden? Tell us in the comments. We'd love to hear how you plan to bring a touch of this timeless wisdom to your backyard. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden science and discipline behind Amish gardening, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Stellar Eureka for more stories about nature's ingenious designs. And share this video with someone who dreams of growing a garden that feeds more than just the body. This is Stellar Eureka, signing off.